Dale Robertson appeared in 60 films and more than 430 television episodes, but he always called Oklahoma home.
When someone mentions a cowboy, what images come to mind for you? What do you think of this image of a no-nonsense cowboy riding a horse while wearing a hat and a rope? In today's video, we discuss the most notable figure, the one who gave rise to the cowboys we know today. So if you're a fan of the cowboy stereotype, you're going to enjoy it. Dale Robertson himself is that someone. This film will go into great detail about Dale, including his background, his tragic end, and the words of his wife that precipitated his untimely demise. So if you want to know more about him, you should definitely watch it. The video is ready to begin. A celestial body shone down on Earth on July 14th, illuminating a man whose stories would touch people all around the globe. Little Dale Lyman Robertson was given that name. His birth year of 1923 coincides with the birth of modern entertainment. The dude had the heart of a genuine cowboy and was competent with his ropes. Acting became an art form because of the way he captivated and then ensnared his audiences. Theater programs should include his performances in Iron Horse and Tales of Wells Fargo because they were so good. Everyone gushed about the man's writing skills whenever he appeared on television. Not only did we lavish him with praise, but even the stellar Time magazine of the day proclaimed him to be the epitome of television horsemanship. It also happened when there were many other cyclists in the area. However, no one dared to challenge him since he was so skilled. He personified wonder and respect. With his appearances on Death Valley Days, which aired from 1968 to 1970, Dale defied everyone's predictions that his stay on the show would be brief. During that period, all of his performances were universally recognized as legendary, and the guy really deserved it. Dale is so much more than simply another jaded cowboy character, which is what the majority of people assume. That guy was the one who first proposed the idea of cowboys being hip and beloved. All the preconceptions we have now are founded on him because of how well he portrayed his role. He was so charismatic that cowboys still today want to mimic his every move. His performances at the moment silenced everyone who had doubts about him. The man had an impressive resume with over 60 titles to his name. Among them were guest spots on shows like Gunsmoke, The Magnificent Seven, and J.J. Starbuck. One notable character he had was recurring as the Hanged Man in 1974. His performances on these programs dispelled whatever reservations his detractors may have had and shown that he was more than just another fake loser with a one-trick pony. We must realize that Dale was absolutely not only a talented actor and famous person. Legendarily, Dale was able to communicate the principles, abilities, morality, integrity, and bravery of his characters. He shared all of it with his audience in the hopes that they would take note and cultivate similar qualities. It was done to ensure that the next generation would be filled with guys who were daring and fearless. This legendary figure did not have his life thrown into his lap. All of it was his to earn. Due to his birth in 1923 during the Great Depression, he had a difficult upbringing. Being born in such a little town in Oklahoma during the Great Depression must have been challenging. However, he refused to let it derail his already formidable work ethic and passion for exerting himself. When he was a little boy, he would often see his parents working long hours to earn a livelihood. Being born into a family of workers forced him to learn gratitude. His dad was a regular guy who toiled away at the land, trying to make sure his family wouldn't go hungry. He learned everything he needed to know from his mother, and he went on to become a famous actor. Because they valued education so highly, his parents spared him the hardship of manual labor. Dale was an intellectual prodigy at the local school. They were able to save up enough money to ensure that their kid would not grow up to be an ignorant brat, regardless of their financial situation. Dale blossomed into a model student with these resources at his fingertips. Although they did have to labor and sweat a little, they also enjoyed their fair share of fun and laughter in Oklahoma. In his interviews, Dale would often mention how much he enjoyed being around his family. how much fun it was for him to play in the field with his sister, and how much he enjoyed going on walks in the countryside, where he felt completely at ease. Even though he lived during the Great Depression, these enjoyable experiences gave him hope for the future and made him a bright, determined man who wanted to make a difference. As he reached his carefree adolescent years, Dale kept maturing. Boxing has just achieved unprecedented levels of popularity. Like any other young child, Dale joined in as the other boys around him began playing. Although boxing's popularity waned with the passage of time, Dale continued to find joy in the sport. It became a distinguishing feature of his boyhood, and he grew rather excellent at it. He devoted many hours to perfecting his craft at the gym, where he also cultivated the self-control and resolve that would prove to be more useful than he had anticipated. He saw boxing as more than simply a pastime. It became an obsession as he sought to harness his boundless drive and become a champion. There was nothing more than a little planet between him and his champion title. Dale Robertson, meanwhile, had loftier aspirations than just becoming world champion. He was the kind of guy with boundless energy and boundless potential. He yearned for more. His goal in life was to make an impression on the world that would be remembered for generations to come, not just his own. In the end, it would be his offspring who would bear his memory. Therefore, it wouldn't be enough for him to succeed. Dale finally had an opportunity to escape the sandy highways of Oklahoma and see the wonderful outside world when World War II broke out and Pearl Harbor was attacked. He aspired to achieve fame while simultaneously dedicating himself to his nation. That is why he joined the military immediately after becoming 18 years old. He benefited much from his experience in the service for his future endeavors. The Dale Robertson we know and love today is a product of his experiences. Even though he was unable to leave an indelible impression on the world after serving in the Army, he gained a strong sense of respect and responsibility and the skills he needed to succeed. Even though he was unable to leave an indelible impression on the world after serving in the Army, he gained a strong sense of respect and responsibility and the skills he needed to succeed. His acting skills were the key that would unlock his place in history. His former act in military skits and performances were to boost morale, but little did he realize that it also increased his star power. By the time the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Dale had gained all he needed out of his experience in the war. Dale found acting to be his life's work. He came home from the war with a fresh outlook and a renewed feeling of purpose. His family had never seen him before. It was a fresh start for Robertson, who dreamed of becoming an actor and being known as one of Hollywood's all-time greats. Refusals and difficulties abound in his early days in Hollywood. It would have been easy to give up after hearing no so many times. This, however, was just the beginning for Dale. He developed, he made an effort, he triumphed, and at last he took use of the chances. From the ashes of Oklahoma to the bright lights of Hollywood, Dale Robertson's tale is one of perseverance and inspiration. We could spend days here just detailing the fascinating anecdotes from his acting career, so we hope you won't spend too much time engrossed in your electronic gadgets. When he eventually found his footing in Hollywood, I'll fill you in on his acting career. He had it rough after returning from the war. He was only cast in a handful of parts, and the ones he did get didn't pay much. He, however, was not the kind to be easily let down. The casting crew couldn't help but cast him again after he nailed each part that came his way. His rise to fame in the acting profession was directly correlated to these traits. His personality, physique, and good looks drew the eye of producers and casting directors after a few tiny parts. It seemed like a waste to the directors not to put him to good use. He was rescued from the cycle of tiny parts and given greater prospects for bigger ones. The name Dale Robertson did not become well known until the 1950s. He landed a supporting part in a highly anticipated drama of the period. Two Flags West was the game that eventually broke him. This was the time for Dale to sell himself, and he knew it because he was intelligent. The whole crowd, including the directors and producers, couldn't help but gush over his performance. This is when Dale's career took off, and he became one of Hollywood's most in-demand performers. From the 1950s through the 1960s, Dale had a string of smash hits and was a major Hollywood star. In any case, he was not letting off the gas. Everyone began to notice his abilities and the variety of characters he could play after seeing him in so many films. He has all the qualities one may want in a romance film's chocolate boy or a rough and handsome cowboy in a classic Western. The uniqueness and genuineness that Dale infused into each of his characters made them seem like distinct individuals, as if they were really existing. Critics and fans alike lauded this type of skill. His performances were so intense and moving that they seemed magical, and he had an irresistible film presence. His dedication to his craft and his unique approach to each role were equally important in making him an exceptional actor. Instead of seeing them as just words on a page, he saw actual individuals who were ensnared. He foolishly believed that his performances and acting were the sole means by which they might escape that piece of paper. People would sometimes confuse him for the cowboy he played because he would get so engrossed in his plays. His acting became a topic of study rather than just an actor doing his profession because of the respect he had for each character and the gracefulness with which he brought forth their characteristics. There were a number of unsuccessful romances throughout Dale Robertson's turbulent love history. The majority of his 5 marriages did not succeed. Dale was about the age one should get married when he was going through all that bustle and struggling. He wed Frederica Jacqueline Wilson for the first time. Because Dale and Frederica preferred to keep a low profile, we don't know much about her. Their marriage, which took place in 1951 at the height of Dale's fame, lasted all of 5 years. They didn't spend much time together, although they did have a daughter at the time, Dale's sole daughter overall. The fact that we never got to know this lovely pair further after their 1956 split is a real shame. He hadn't been looking for a wife before his second marriage, but there was one lady who caught his eye and was perfect for him. Mary Murphy was his second wife, and their marriage was more professional and lacking in romance. Mary was born in Washington, D.C. on January 26, 1931. She was an extraordinarily beautiful and gifted actress. A star was born out of her work in American cinema. Mary and Dale hit it off on screen in one of their movies. They wed for selfish reasons, yet love blossomed between them quickly. Midway during Dale's heyday, in 1959, they tied the knot. 2 famous people who became famous as a couple by pure force of will and hard effort were married. Despite their hectic schedules, the friendship between Dale and Mary remained strong. They rallied around one another in times of need. Fans adored Mary and Dale when they starred together in Dale's films. After a year of joys and sorrows, they were forced to separate by the demands of the public and their respective occupations in the entertainment industry. This is a common experience for famous couples. Their marriage came to an end as they peacefully separated, terminating it. Because Mary did not want to have additional children and Dale was adamantly against it, they split, Mary said later. Because of their common ground and the regard they had for one another, Dale and Mary were able to keep in frequent contact after their separation. Mary went on to become a household figure in the film industry, while Dale continued busy in the theater. Lula Mae Maxey was his third wife. November 13, 1959 was the day of their wedding. They were married for over 20 years, but it was cut short. They never had a family even while they were together. Similarly secret was Dale's third marriage, which ended in a divorce on February 8, 1977. The actor's 1980 marriage to Susan Robbins was his last chance at love. They remained a pair till our cherished hero passed away. Classic Dale kept quiet about her too, and we really wanted to learn more about her. When he was at his lowest, Susan, his final wife, was there to assist. Susan was there for him when his daughter passed away, and she helped him get back on his feet. The only time his marriage did not crumble was during their 33-year union. It was the beginning of his zenith after the failure of his second marriage. From the 1960s to the 1970s, When he appeared in consecutive blockbuster films, his career reached its zenith. It further cemented his position in Hollywood and made it clear that he was more than just another guy. He was a treasure trove of talent. Only the most worthy producers were able to get his services, since he was highly sought after by producers throughout the business. No matter the genre, thriller, action, romance, Dale was sweeping the floors. Numerous accolades were bestowed upon him in recognition of his exceptional talents and accomplishments. They included the National Cowboy Award, a plaque on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and the prestigious Golden Boot Award in 1985. Among his many accolades are these. However, there were difficulties associated with his popularity, as there are with every performer or celebrity. Much of the controversy surrounding him was on his drinking. He had to deal with the most high-profile scandal because of it. His struggles with alcoholism are well documented, and he overcame them. He gave off an intimidating air of stoicism and rugged good looks on television, but his troubling alcoholism was real. Due to the severity of his drinking issue, he had to overcome several obstacles in his life. His run-in with the law began in 1958 when he was taken into custody for driving under the influence. He went to prison. The industry spoke ill of him, and chaos ensued as a result of this incident. Dale was a very determined guy who, despite everything, did not want to fail. He sought assistance and returned to his Christian beliefs. After much struggle, he managed to kick his addiction for good. He established programs to assist others in finding sobriety and became a champion for this cause after experiencing what it was like to be an alcoholic himself. He was also the target of criticism for openly despising the transformation taking place in Hollywood. He thought Hollywood was heading in a terrible path. He was critical of numerous filmmakers' depictions of cowboys and the increasing popularity of sex appeal in their later works. The movies, Robertson once complained, had been too sexualized for him. Keeping up a front was something he found bothersome and eventually became sick of. At one point, he desired a life away from the hustle and bustle of Hollywood, where he could devote himself to rediscovering his origins in peace and quiet. After purchasing a ranch in Oklahoma, he was able to finally relax and enjoy life on the ranch with his horses. There are reports that he was the proud owner of over 500 horses at one point. His beloved daughter's death was the most heartbreaking thing he had to endure. In 1981, Dale was bereaved to see his Princess Rochelle pass away from problems related to diabetes. He and his loved ones went through a difficult period, and he carried the emotional scars of that time with him till his death. Dale failed to disappoint us in any aspect of his life, despite all of these scandals and issues. He continues to be a hero to this day because his tale and the struggles he endured serve as a reminder of the difficulty he endured. The entertainment industry lost a star on the tragic evening of February 27, 2013. He was an iconic character whose impact on history was immeasurable. An era came to a close with Robertson's demise. His legacy will live on in the hearts and minds of future generations. The dreaded twin diseases of lung cancer and pneumonia befell 89-year-old Dale Robertson. A life full of victories, defeats, and resolute resolve came to an end because of these curses. Many people were saddened by his passing, including his admirers, co-workers, and loved ones. Those around him pondered his legacy and the lasting impression he left on the entertainment industry. Robertson bravely and gracefully overcame many obstacles, including his early battles with drinking and the crippling stroke he had in the late 1980s. Refusing to be defined by industry, he had always shown an indomitable spirit. Inspiring others with his will to overcome difficulties and recover his life, Robertson persisted in pursuing his love for acting despite the challenges he met. His remarkable recovery from addiction and subsequent sense of purpose has been an inspiration to many. The death of Robertson marked the end of an era, the loss of a genuine Hollywood star, and not only the brilliance of an actor. His captivating performances in Western films and television programs have won him innumerable admirers all around the globe. The entertainment world was in mourning over Dale Robertson's passing, but it was also in celebrating his legacy. His lasting influence on Hollywood and television demonstrated how stories can motivate, encourage, and bring people together regardless of their background. Dale Robertson may have left this world, but his legacy will endure in the movies he starred in and the memories he left behind with fans all across the globe. His unwavering will and capacity to overcome adversity will serve as an inspiration to everyone who sees him. This concludes our comprehensive biography of our legendary cowboy, Dale Robertson. Give this video a thumbs up and a share if you like it. Please consider subscribing. Goodbye for now.